So, this is going to be a flow of thought opinion piece. I'm going to be as politically non political as possible. I'm not trying to take a side, left, right, whatever. This is my viewpoint based on my personal life experiences, my research, the things that I am observing in the world right now, and the way people are interacting and reacting to different things that are occurring and have been occurring for a while now. So this is a more of an evaluation and where I see things going. It's not about me saying, oh, I wish this was the case, or I wish that was the case, or we need to fight for this or fight for that. This is just how I see things. There is what I see a major misunderstanding from both sides of the political spectrum on what the socioeconomic scenario currently is and where it's going and what our goals should be. And there is a reaction that is occurring in the general population, in particular the younger population. And that's important because that's who is inheriting the current economic climate, the current outlook for their future. You have this political horseshoe or U-shape or whatever you want to classify it as of the left and right. And I've believed this for a little while now. They are essentially the same thing. The further you go in either direction, the closer they come together. There is some outlying characters that I believe in and that I think are great people who would make great leaders. Most of them are not finding the most success in politics right now, at least in advancing their political careers. And others have straight up essentially been pushed out of them. So I think that that is kind of a sign of things. It makes sense because the political establishment has a vision for what they want. And they're just not going to allow people who are outside of that vision to control, change and where we're going. So setting all that aside, what we see right now is the right is incredibly staunch on this capitalism thing. I am a capitalist. I think that you can have capitalists that are Democrats, Republicans, whatever. Capitalism is an economic system that says I can decide the value of my labor, my services, what the things I create, the things I do, and offer that to someone else. They can then decide what it's worth to them, and if they want to pay me for that. They give me money as a token saying, I need this service from you. Here's a token in the form of money, dollars, whatever it is. And the person who receives that then provides that exchange, the labor, the service, the goods, whatever it is. And now they have earned that money, those tokens that they can go use on other things they need and want. It's a great system. It is the best economic system we have had on this planet. The most successful civilizations in human history have been capitalist civilizations. At the very least, they have been partly capitalistic. It allows the most freedom for individuals to control their own destiny, to take care of themselves, to get the most out of their lives by working for it, right? And of course, you can build businesses, you can make profit. Other people can give you that currency for things you provide, and then you make a profit off it, and then you become successful, you become bigger, you manage to get better at what you're doing or provide it to more people, whatever the case is. These are all great things. None of this is bad. Not only that, but it plays perfectly into human nature of greed. No matter what, humans are going to be greedy. That is not always a bad thing. You have to have a certain level of greed to build your own life, to get the things you need to survive, to provide for those around you, your family, your friends, your community. There has to be a level of greed where it says, I need this, I want this, therefore I'm going to pursue getting it. Capitalism gives the best avenue to play into that greed in a way that is good for others as well. You are greedy. You want a thing. To get that thing, you must provide something of value to someone else. They give you money. You are now satisfied. You have the currency you need to go acquire the thing you want. Anyways, we do not live in a capitalist society anymore, and we have not for a while, and we are not slowly, rapidly moving away from capitalism, and it's not the fault of the left. The left and socialism and potentially communism and all these concepts are a reaction to a failing system. We currently live in a corporatist socioeconomic environment, and it's becoming worse and worse by the year. 2020 greatly accelerated our reliance on government. So that's something you never want, but whatever. And the government is more and more infiltrated, ran by, lobbied by, coerced by, and in bed with corporations. Corporations are not inherently a bad thing. Corporations are simply the people who built something based off a service, a good, product, and expanded that to give that to more people or to give better versions of that to people and make money from it. They provide something people want, people give them things. Corporations, as a concept, are not bad. But whether it's movies, video games, whatever it is, books, when we have media that shows a kind of dystopian future that they call capitalist, say Cyberpunk, right? And Deus Ex and many of these others, where they don't necessarily make capitalism the bad guy. However, they throw the term around as a backdrop for a world that is actually corporatism. The dystopian worlds that you see in Cyberpunk and Deus Ex and Blade Runner and any of these other like dystopian future visions, they are not a capitalist society. They are a corporatist society. They are a society where rampant control and money and influence from corporations has taken over government. Government and corporate basically have become one. The government now creates policy to benefit corporations or to even control corporations. Corporations lobby and influence government to do things in their best interest, whether it's to accumulate information on you, to survey you, to control you through algorithms, influence your decisions on everything. And I'm not talking about like regular marketing and stuff like that. It's insidious. The relationship between government and corporations. And it's far bigger, I think, than anyone realizes. So that's why I say the right currently, their tagline is anti-communism, anti-socialism, liberalism is bad, and that we've got to defend our republic and our capitalist way of, doing economic business. Democrats or liberals or whatever on the other side, in reaction to what is actually a corporatist economic scenario, are trying to essentially eliminate capitalism, but capitalism isn't the bad guy here. They want to take away the freedom that capitalism provides, but the freedom we've pretty much already lost to corporatism. And they both are in bed with this. Like left and right are literally both controlled by and in bed with corporations. We see it with the woke stuff, where they try to influence culture through entertainment, media, and just business in general with the woke aspect of it. And from the right, we see it the same way, whether it's religion and policy and also we're trying to enforce or protect an economic structure that's no longer there. And then on the other side, we're trying to fight against and tear down an economic structure that is no longer there. And both are colliding into the same place and accomplishing the same things, taking away individual freedom and taking away economic freedom. In one way or the other, they are literally both doing this. There's no good guy in the political parties. There are individuals who you may like, but look at it, step back, look at it as a whole. See the forest. We are in a post-capitalist society. We still have remnants of capitalism. Of course, that's how a corporatist society would look. But we are down on the bottom rung of everything. Everything is being dictated to us. We are being coerced on everything and controlled in every single way economically. That's like the number one thing. When they take away your freedom economically, they take away all the other things. Because, I've talked about this before with friends of mine. I could live, for instance, in a liberal society if I am free to make money and just live my own life quietly and do my own thing. But we don't have that. We have a society where the those above us are controlling everything that is filtered down to us. The cost of living, the cost of housing, the things that you have to have exploded in cost. And what that is slowly but surely, and I say slowly, but gaining speed, accelerating, done is taking away our ability, our freedom to have the other conveniences in our lives. The other, they're now luxuries. Basic things that 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago were basics. Things that everyone just enjoyed on a whim are becoming further and further out of reach for your average person. And that's everything. Gaming. This is a channel that mostly talks about entertainment and things like that. Gaming, for instance. This is the first time in history where the cost of gaming in, a generation of consoles, etc., has gone up, and a lot. Every other generation in the past, when it comes to game consoles, the cost of games, etc., it's always gone down. There's a launch price, and over time it becomes more and more affordable. They push it out to more and more people. It's coming to a point where gaming is now a luxury after decades of it being something that we all basically could enjoy in some way, shape, or form. It's becoming more and more inaccessible. That's just gaming. The big stuff. The numbers came out the other day, and since 2020, wages have grown 12%. While the cost of basically everything else, corporate profits, have gone up 47%. I am not advocating for socialism or communism or whatever. What I am saying is that they are doing this to slowly but surely strip you of your ability to control your life. If you have to put every single dime of what you make in America, the most prosperous country on earth, that had all these luxuries, all these things that the average person can afford or could afford, and build a life, and the white picket fence and the house and all that kind of stuff, that is evaporating. And nobody's doing anything about it. And we're going to see it get worse and worse as things like AI and automation continue to get better and better, and they will. Unless this entire country goes full on Luddite and just completely eliminates progress or development, we'll say progress or development, whatever, in fields like AI and automation, it's not going away. And it's going to take more and more jobs. is going to take more and more control of things from individuals, from the population. And you have a whole generation, Generation Z, and then coming after them will be Generation Alpha. But right now, Gen Z, they're the adult generation. They're anywhere from like 17 or 16 to 30, basically. There's a lot of them out there. I would say they're your primary workforce, but because of how many places won't hire them, like won't give them a chance, or the lack of jobs that are available at their level of experience or lack of experience, many of them don't work because they can't. And then those that do, they have very little opportunity to move up because of how many people from previous generations have to continue to work. They haven't been able to find or build wealth over the last 10, 15 years or so. We've had multiple major economic downturns. We had the whole like COVID situation, and then the increasing and spending by the government, inflation, then you have regulation. Like there's so many things going on in the world that have taken away the economic power of the younger people. Whenever you do that, you create a generation that begins to lose hope, right? They begin to lose hope. They have nothing. This whole idea that, Gen Z is lazy, or even millennials and stuff like that, it's really not true. They just have little opportunity, and the future, they can see what's ahead. It's bleak. So it's like, why spend the next 20, 30 years of my life slaving for a system with little to no reward when I can see what's happening to the generation right before me, the millennials, where 1 in 3 35-year-olds, people below 35 are living at home. I mean, that is crazy. And yeah, a lot of millennials are older than 35. They're 40 to they're anywhere from like 30 to 45 basically. But that's a lot. That's a lot of people. There are more and more people over the age of 35 and going to 40 that cannot afford to live on their own. There is just no prospect at all for this. Me personally, back in 2007, I was able to find an apartment with a friend of mine. Yes, I did a roommate situation. It's not like, I was trying to just live on my own. We split an apartment, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 2nd level, nice. It was actually a nice place. It was a gated apartment complex off of the downtown of a nice college town, right? So access to everything, you're right there, the good spot. And it was $675 a month, and we were splitting it. $675 might be what you pay now to split with somebody else or multiple other people. And that's not counting the cost of buying a car, the cost of insuring a car, the cost of groceries, the cost of everything that is essential for life has gone up dramatically. So you lose the ability to save, to build, go to the movies. Just basic things that we took for granted are just out of reach. And many of the people who were once able to do those things because of multiple economic downturns are now back at home. They're stuck in these situations. There has been no recovery for them. So what you do is you create a scenario where people feel they have no other option but to overturn the system. And unfortunately, because we are stuck in boomer mindset when it comes to politics and economics and socioeconomic stuff, we are still clinging to this idea that we live in a capitalist society. So you have these young people who are being told this is capitalism. And it's not. We're fighting for, not we, but, in general, the people who believe in capitalism, but either willingly or unwillingly, they are fighting for corporatism. They do not or cannot recognize that it's not a capitalist system anymore. They are fighting for that, and they're pushing that that's the way to do things. That's what America is. These people down here are like, well, what the fuck? If that's the case, I'm screwed. I need something else. And then you have the other side of the spectrum on the left, who also refer to this as capitalism and make it the bad guy. And they're offering solutions. Whether they are the correct solutions or not, they are offering solutions. So you have people who they've lost hope in the current system, and both sides are mislabeling that system and fighting against it or fighting for it and making these people go, well, this is stupid. We need something new. And the only thing that's being offered are the solutions against capitalism. You don't have the right saying we need a return to capitalism. What we see now is crony corporatism. And you have the left that's not also saying, well, this isn't capitalism. That's what they're referring to it as, that they're reinforcing that side of it. So you're going to have a younger population who is going to seek solutions. And as they see their jobs and their future soaked up by AI and automation, which is in fact happening, you have places now where they're completely eliminating jobs for automation. Like McDonald's is going to be moving to no drive-through operator. It's going to be automated, and they're not going to have a person like answering and taking the orders and stuff. It's going to be you're talking to automation. Whether people like that or not, whether people bitch about that or not, that's going to be what they're going to deal with. You're going to end up with like fast food locations, the number one first job for teenagers, which they need if they want to get out and start making money and enjoying life in any sort of way and have experience to get anything better than that. You're going to have these fast food places that are going to have like 2 people on staff instead of 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever, working at any given time. You're going to have basically a janitorial maintenance type person, and you're going to have somebody overseeing the automation. And most of the time, that's not going to be teenagers because that's not who they're going to trust to run the restaurant. So suddenly, that's going to be wiped out. And more retailers, your tech jobs, like even middle management stuff is going to be replaced by automation and AI. That is where we are going. Capitalism, as it faded and corporatism took over, has no response for that. Liberalism's only response is to fight that system and offer socialist policies. And unfortunately, socialist policies are the only thing that, to those seeking help and they're desperate, they're the only solution that looks like it makes any sense against this, because the right's not offering anything better. The right thinks this is all just capitalism that's going on right now. Anyways, I keep saying that over and over again, but that is a huge part of the problem. Universal basic income is not something I advocate for, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're going to have so many jobs displaced over a short period of time, and there is no replacement for them. Human beings have to work and be an employee and to become anything. You have to provide a service, a good, you have to work for someone, right? Well, when that doesn't exist anymore, you have no means of making money. Like, unless you're an OnlyFans girl or a streamer or something. So, or unless you're further up the ladder or you've already found a way to make wealth, and, that's just not available. You have no ladder to climb. Essentially, it's like a lot of people climbed halfway up the ladder, cut off the lower level, and then kept climbing the rest of the way. So unless you were already on this ladder of success, wealth, making money or whatever, you're going to see that a large influx of people are going to be standing at the bottom of the ladder with nowhere to go. And the only option I can see occurring eventually, whether we like it or not, I'm just observing and saying this is what's occurring. These companies, businesses, whatever, are going to displace so many jobs with automation and AI that we're going to see a mass change in politics, We're going to see a lot more people, in particular on the lower end of the spectrum, those that are younger, who don't have a future, shift to the left on the policy of on the economic policy. Not necessarily a lot of social issues, because there are a lot of younger people who don't like, quote unquote, the woke stuff and all that, whatever. But when they can't find jobs, when they can't pay for things, and they basically have no options for life, they are going to move in that direction of the universal basic income. And I think the way that I could see that playing out and possibly working on some level, is if essentially, and this is again the corporate tax and, you know, all that kind of stuff that, you know, the right rails against, because, you know, I oppose taxes too. I think taxation is theft. But they're going to go, you know, you once were providing jobs. You once were creating the ability for people to make an income and live and find success. You have eliminated that option with AI and automation. We can calculate the savings that are accrued by these companies and by eliminating human work. And on some level, you could use that as a basis to say, this is what you have to pay back into the system. You're making your profit. You're getting your huge savings from removing the human middleman when it comes to various forms of labor production, tech, you know, whatever it is. And because you have eliminated that middleman and saved all this money, we're going to need this much of that from you. You're still going to make your margins. You're still going to have huge profits and savings from this, but we need some of that back, and that's going to go into the system that creates universal basic income. I don't see a way you do it where you tax normal people, because so many normal people are not going to be making money. But if you did something like that, and then again, we're talking universal basic income. Not enough to send people off on vacations or to buy gaming PCs or do whatever. They're still going to need to do something, right? But it would make sure that they're not on the street and that they can have food and they can have their phone or, you know, things like that, right? It would essentially be a way to say, okay, your hours have been drastically cut. There's fewer jobs available to you. The jobs that are available, you're not being paid very much for, whatever it is. This is going to allow you to pay your rent. This is going to allow you to keep your phone on. This is going to allow you to keep your utilities running. We're not going to allow you to go like rot in the street because of AI and automation. And it's funny because as somebody who's not an advocate of this, I can still look at it and see this is coming at some point in the future. The Star Trek future may actually be approaching slowly but surely. It's just not going to occur in the way people thought or would want it to. Like the whole concept that was spoken about in Star Trek First Contact by Captain Picard, where he talks about like, oh, we no longer pursue, you know, essentially like wealth in this way. We pursue these other things that like make humanity better or make ourselves better, etc. And that is like a sort of argument that socialists will make for these different things, for like the high taxing and, you know, providing government services and that sort of thing. That's kind of like where they will make that argument. Oh, this will free up people to do things they want. There is a level of truth to that, but at the same time, it's not going to be how people think it would be. It would be a survival mechanism just to keep people afloat. And then if they have desires beyond that, if they have things that they want to achieve or things that they want for themselves, they're still going to have to find some way to make that happen. Whether it's, you know, finding the work they can or creating something of use to someone, whatever it is, there will still be a need to kind of reset almost to capitalism, but from a place of less want, if that makes sense. Anyways, I just think that neither side of the political spectrum knows what the hell they're doing. I don't think either side has a grasp on what's actually occurring out there in the real world for regular people. We want to do this thing that we've done with every single generation. When it was Gen X, when it was millennials, now it's Gen Z. It's always this like, oh, they're lazy and entitled. And you know who the most entitled group of people is? It's the boomers. These are the people that got the most handed to them, spoon-fed by those before them, the greatest generation. They got put into the best economic scenarios. They had the most control of their future destiny, the most ability to generate wealth and accomplish things with it. Before their policies and decisions created the inflationary, overspending, importing people, like all these different things. These are all policies that they benefited from at the moment they created them, and for most of their working lives until they retired. And that as they infiltrated all of government and still cling to it until they're like literally dead, they continue to make those policies that benefit them, but did nothing to benefit the future economic and social outlook for the country. And every successive generation after has had less economic power and less control over their future. And that's going to make people desperate. And like I said, whether you like it or not, I am not a proponent of socialism, communism, UBI, any of these types of things. The problem is we're not leaving them many options but to go for those things. We are not trying to reset our corporatist world back to capitalism. If anything, our government and those that are benefiting from it continue to push it further and further in that direction and call it capitalism. They make it the bad guy. They make capitalism the bad guy by continuing to call what they are doing capitalism. And they make it easy for the left to target it as the bad guy and the cause of all your problems, and turn everyone off from the concept of capitalism and push them toward liberalism. And as the boomers die off slowly but surely over time, and their wealth goes to no one because they have not created a future for those that they brought into the world, there's going to be very little desire to hang on to the structures, the systems that they created. So that's just how I see it going. I think that everyone right now is completely out of touch with the current world and where it's going.